Hello everyone, and today we are back for another Loomian Legacy Top 5 video, and we're going to be talking about the top 5 most forgotten Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. These are 5 Loomians who at some point were some of the best Loomians in the entire game that have eventually gotten forgotten, either by new Loomians being added or the meta shifting. So with that out of the way, let's head right onto this list. So number 5 onto this list is going to be a shocker because it's going to be Tclips. And the reason why Tclips is number 5 is not because it has been forgotten, because this thing is mainly used for one role. It's the total Eclipse ability. This gives it more immunities than weaknesses. And this Loomian used to be the top Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy. And while it isn't the top Loomian anymore, it's still a very good Loomian. But nowadays, a lot of people run a certain Loomian called Maraf. And Maraf walls Tclips, because with the reflective ability, it's immune to light, and it's resists dark and normal, meaning that Tclips can't hit Maraf, which does suck. With the existence of Maraf has definitely dropped Tclips' usage. And Tclips is not even mainly used as an attacker anymore. Despite having a really good defensive typing and offensive typing, it's only used for that total Eclipse ability, and that's kind of it. And then, even if you get the speed boost, a Maraf swaps in and kinda walls Tclips. And that's the reason why it is on the list. It isn't forgotten, it's still a very good Loomian, but it used to be the number 1 Loomian. And now, it might not even be in the top 20. And that's why Tclips is on this list. Number 4 onto this list is going to be one of the fossils in Infernix. Infernix used to be one of the best fossil Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. And now it might be one of the worst. And the reason why Infernix might be one of the worst fossil Loomians is because of all the fire types that are better than it. You have Soulburst Eruptodon, who is just an absolute monster. You have Vocaloa, which is faster and can click Brawn Boost. Arceros can run Specialty Boots and Boiling Press to hit water types. You have Pyrolin, who's a really good range tank. So all of those fire types are better than Infernix. And while Infernix has good range defense, it doesn't have amazing range defense. And its melee defense is actually relatively weak. And while it has Raging Flame, it's not as good as Rejuvenate. Like, it has moves, it has stuff to be very good, but it's just overall not the best Loomian to run. It gets outclassed by pretty much every fire type in the entire game. And that's why Infernix has been forgotten. People tend to forget that when the UMV came out, Infernix was one of the best fossil Loomians in all of Loomian Legacy. But now it's probably the worst fossil, and while it is a decent Loomian for what it is, it has definitely fallen and has been forgotten by the Loomian Legacy PvP community. And that's why Infernix is number 4 on the list. Number 3 onto this list is going to be Dorg. And Dorg is mainly forgotten because of its role. It has the handy ability, and this Loomian is a support role. It can either set up screens, it can provoke, it can poison, it can barter heavy shackles. Heck, you could even use this as a handy Bane bag of tricks Loomian, which is amazing, by the way. And the thing is, there's no reason for this Loomian to be forgotten, because this Loomian is probably the best Loomian I'm going to talk about on the list. Mainly because that's the support role that Dorg does, is amazing. It's one of the best screen setters in the entire game. It's the best provoke Loomian in the entire game. And it's the best barter heavy shackles Loomian in the entire game. But the problem is that a lot of people don't use Dorg that much, because a lot of people think that Dorg's role isn't worth a team spot on their roll of 7. Because in Loomian Legacy, you can make 7 Loomians on your team. And a lot of people just don't think Dorg's role is worth one of the 7 spots. Personally, I think it is, because, you know, barter heavy shackles, you can click bag of tricks, you can hypnotize, and of course, the fact that you can set up screens before an attack actually happens makes Dorg really good. Like, this Loomian's really good, this Loomian shouldn't be forgotten, but it is, and that's why it is in the top 3 of this list. Number 2 onto this list is going to be Seadrake. Now, there are very good reasons why Seadrake has been forgotten by the PvP community, and it's mainly because of the existence of Dragodyne. This is an anomaly Loomian that can get +1 melee attack after every attack, It also has 83 speed, 120 melee attack, and pretty good coverage as well. This Loomian is a really good wall breaker. This is also one of the better specialty boots Loomians in the entire game as well. The biggest reason, though, why Sea Drake has been forgotten in the PvP community, mainly because this is a Loomian from the Sweet Retreat. And we haven't had the Sweet Retreat in over a year and a half, making it really hard to actually get Sea Drake. And since this thing only came out for one update, not many people have this Loomian. And also, that doesn't even mention all the other fast wall breakers in the game, like Soulburst Eruptodon, Barbadger, Helvantic. Those are some other Loomians that are a lot more known, and for the most part, is better than Sea Drake. But those are the reasons why Sea Drake is forgotten. But this Loomian is honestly very good, and it's still very scary. But overall, a forgotten Loomian that's pretty good, and that's why it's number 2 on this list. Honorable mentions on this list, and honorable mention number 1 is Tundran. People tend to forget that in 2021, Tundran was the best melee tank in all of Loomian Legacy. With the resilience ability to gain more melee defense and body crash, this thing hits really hard and has rejuvenate. The reason why it has been forgotten is mainly because of the existence of Obsidian, but the reason why it is an honorable mention is because I still see some people use Tundran, and the Christmas event has happened recently, so a lot of people probably have made their Tundrans recently. Another honorable mention is Vesperatu, and while Vesperatu isn't necessarily forgotten, a lot of people don't use it as much as they should. This Loomian is an absolute monster. With the addition of Haro, you can actually two-shot Billoforge with barbs, which is absolutely insane because Billoforge is really bulky on the melee side. But yeah, Vesperatu is honorable mention number 2 on this list. The most forgotten Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy is Barblast. Barblast on my 2 top 5 tank videos was number 1. And this thing still definitely has that number 1 potential. It has great bulk on both sides. It has a very good range attack stat. It has Rejuvenate. It has Poison. It has Icicle Traps. It has Power Focus, so it can set up Sweep as well. This is a stall team's greatest Loomian to add. The reason why Barblast, though, has been forgotten is because of the addition of 2 Loomians. Dokamore and Soulburst Gastro. Dokamore is pretty much Barblast, but better. But the problem is with Dokamore is that it doesn't actually have a very high melee defense stat. So you still get two-shotted from most hard-hitting melee attackers. While if Barblast has a lot better melee defense stat, it can soak the hits better. And with Soulburst Gastroke, that thing is quad weak to ice if you don't include insulated, and it just has poison. But it's one of those Loomians which are heavily provoke-bait, while Barblast isn't that much. It's no contest. This is by far the most forgotten Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy, and it sucks because this is still a really powerful tank that deserves to be number 1. And here it is, Barblast, the most forgotten Loomian in all of Loomian Legacy. It's crazy because at one point I always thought Barblast is one of the best tanks in all of Loomian Legacy, and then I never saw one for 3 months. It's kind of crazy that this Loomian was forgotten. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, me talking about the top 5 most forgotten Loomians, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!